Every young rugby player that calls the Rainbow Nation home dreams of one day playing for their country. But the journey that leads to the green and gold is an arduous one, filled with many obstacles. Behind every wearer of the Springbok badge lies a tale of courage, commitment and sacrifice. These are the men that walked the road less traveled.
Now or never.
Becoming a Springbok was a dream that constantly spurred on Jesse Kriel. Through hard work and determination, he achieved that goal at the age of only 21 and now continues to build on his rapid rise to the top echelons of the game. Kriel was born in Cape Town 3 minutes before twin brother Dan.
So I was born in Cape Town in 1994. Lived there for the first, I think it was 6 years of my life, and then we moved up to Underberg, where my gran and my grandpa had a hotel there called Moorcroft Manor. So my mother decided to take us up there. My mother and my father were split when I was younger, so they were divorced. So we moved up there. My father stayed down in Cape Town. My first memories of when Dan and I started rugby would probably be along Sea Point Beach. We used to tackle each other there. I don't know if you've seen the jungle gyms in the park there, and all of the things. We used to play there a lot, and then we just used to end up tackling each other. I don't know if it was rugby, but I think we just wanted to be just rough and tough and just tackle each other as any two brothers would normally do.
After initiation into the game of rugby and primary school life, the boys had a change of scenery during their grade 6 year.
Just before we finished the primary school, we went to Murchison. My gran and my mother made a decision to send us to the school because obviously Underberg, we couldn't make a stepping stone in our sport and in our academics, obviously, so Murchison was apparently better equipped at that time. Not that we knew at the time, but it was a great new journey for us, and we were really excited about it and really excelled at Murchison. We did quite well when we got there in the under-12 trials, and I think there were probably an A, B, C and a D team, and luckily we played in the A team, which was great, you know, and that's where I think we started really getting that love for rugby.
The twins soon formed a formidable combo in midfield.
I think there's always those times where you just throw a pass and you know he's there, and I mean, it's just an understanding that you can't really explain.
Jesse was more the creative player and would be creating the opportunities for Dan and his outside backs. And Dan was more the enforcer and more physicality than Jesse at that age. So
Murchison has always been a feeder school for Maritzburg College, and it was just the kind of the thing that you just do, you know. And I mean, obviously, when I was in grade 7, we went to a kicking clinic at Maritzburg College with Butch James and Percy Montgomery, and that was obviously just after they had won the World Cup. It was in 2007, and I think when I saw them and when I had the opportunity to kick with them, guys that were my heroes growing up, I had my mind made up, and I knew I was going to Maritzburg College.
The chance to attend Maritzburg College was an opportunity for the boys to take their burgeoning talents to the next level.
Maritzburg College is a school of big traditions. There's a hierarchy involved. A school that's it's probably the best 5 years of my life. Obviously now I'm really enjoying life, but it was 5 important years of my life. A great school. I think we really fitted in well. I think we were tough. We were tough twins that came out of the junior school, and we fitted in well. Played all sport, participated in everything. So I think that was great. I think a busy schoolboy is always a happy schoolboy. I was really lucky with the fact that we had great coaches growing up who really had a big play and role in where I think I am today. It's under 14 plays. We used to play Copper Stump in 5 by 5 meters, backs against forwards, and it was whoever got to the other line won, you know. So that's some good memories that I had.
Jesse suffered a major setback during his under 16 year.
Before every season, I start off with goal setting. So I get the squad together, and we set team goals, we set individual goals, and then set up a logbook. And Jesse took this to heart, and he worked at these and trying to achieve them as a 15-year-old. And some of his goals were, he set his goal of being 80 kilograms at the age of 15. So already there, he started working in the gym and improving. He wanted to make the Grand Coma side, was one of his goals. He wanted to make the SA elite squad under 16. Although he didn't make these, I think this was the start, getting him to set the goals. That started him actually paving the way to becoming a Springbok.
I did not make the Grand Coma side, so I still had a little bit of a hip pointer, so I missed the first trials. And then I ended up going to the second trials and I just didn't get selected. So big disappointment in my career. I still remember there was a bit of tears and everything. Obviously my brother making it and me not. And so yeah, that was a bit of a setback that I endured growing up, but one that I would never change. I would never change it for anything. It really made me, it lit a fire in me and made me work really hard going into my grade 11 year.
I think he may have been extremely disappointed, but he never showed it. And his attitude towards the games that we played after that, because that took place about a month before the end of the second term, which was the season. His attitude, he was at practice first again, the next practice, and it didn't affect him on field or off the field. And I think it probably did spur him to say, I'm going to show these guys.
At under 16, I really decided that I wanted to play rugby and make it my career. And that's when I started focusing a bit more.
Kriel was also facing up to the challenge of adapting to the number 15 jersey.
Jesse was doing very well in the open play. He would position himself, even though he was a fly half, he would be taking the high ball, and he would be counter-attacking with that, and his incisive running, good decision making. I said, oh, this guy's very much in the mold of the old Jan Eunice that I used to enjoy as a fullback, he was a Springbok. And I said to Jesse, here's your opportunity, what do you think? And he took it.
At school, I think I preferred the 15 berth because whenever there was kicks, and then I could feel those and just counter, and I mean at school there wasn't any kicking, so it was just you gather the ball and go, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed taking people on, and there was obviously a lot of space, and at school level the defensive structures aren't always that great, so there was a lot of space and a lot of holes, which got me really excited.
Jesse Kriel gets his second try, the third for the Kriel twins.
I liked him at fullback. Jess was lethal at the back. When he had time and space with the ball in hand, he was a threat to any team.
Current Sharks coach Ryan Strudwick oversaw Kriel's development in his matric year.
I took up the position at Maritzburg College in 2012, and Jess was in matric, and I started coaching him from the beginning of the year. And I think first impressions are the size of the boy. You know, he was big for a schoolboy. And then once coaching him for a bit, you realise his actual talent. So he was really fast and had a lot of skill. But as you get to know him, you realise that he has a really unique character and a really likeable person, and he really fitted in well with all his peers and with all his teachers. He led from example from the back, so players looked up to him. Obviously, we're quite fortunate that we had his twin brother in the team as well. So having the two of them in one team was quite exceptional.
The opportunity to play Craven Week Rugby gave Jesse the chance to take the next step of his young career.
Our Craven Week was in Port Elizabeth. It was really one of the highlights of my career. We had a really good lead up to the Craven Week. Baron Steyn, the coach of Kersney. We had the Dupree brothers in our team. Really, really good players. I mean, at schoolboy level, they dominated, especially from a forward point of view. Got us good go-forward ball and everything.
Jesse Kriel has done well. The wing suddenly opens up in front of the skipper. He's away over the halfway line. He needs to find some support. He's going to try and do it all himself. Jesse Kriel, he's got it back. What a try!
I think the Craven Week was just great. Everything just worked. The ball off chips and things like that. The ball just bounced my way and ball just bounced our way. So it went really well. Lost a few games. We lost a game that I think we could have won. But all in all, it was a great experience and a good first taste of professional rugby.
Making Craven Week is obviously the best thing about it is getting your recognition early on, whether it's Craven Week or Grand Coma Week, or even under 13. If you get that recognition early on, your passage through to the top is a lot easier. I think there are a lot of players who slip through the gaps and who still make it. I truly believe the cream will always rise to the top. But if you have got that recognition earlier on, your pathway is easier. You know, you're exposed to the better coaching, you're exposed to the better teams, and your pathway does become easier if you get picked up by one of the bigger unions straight out of school.
After a superb Craven Week came the opportunity to represent SA schools.
I did make the SA school side. Dan was injured that year. He had a shoulder operation, but I did make the SA school sides in 2012. Yeah, we really had a good side and we won all our games, all the incoming with England, France.
The next destination for the Kriel twins was Pretoria, after the pair had caught the eye of the Blue Bulls.
Dan was actually the one that they scouted first. I was just the brother of Dan, so I think thankful to my brother, I also got noticed. So probably in my grade 11 year, under 16, the Bulls got hold of my brother and I. They came and watched. I think we're still playing warm-up games before the rugby season against Foot Tracker at the UKZN fields in Maritzburg. And they were there and they just said, yeah, we really like how you guys play and we think you could have a good future up at the Bulls. Would you be interested? And obviously as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, when someone comes to you and says that we want you at our union, and I mean the Blue Bulls were really successful at that time, winning trophies. I mean, all my heroes were up there, so I didn't have any doubt in my mind.
The Kriel's first professional contract, the result of many hours worth of toil and dedication.
Jess was very driven, and I think he is still very driven to that. I think it's one of his outstanding characters is that he always wants to succeed and he pushes himself to the limits. I think one of the things that stood out the most was he managed somehow to get a key for the gym, the school gym, and would always train at night without anybody knowing. And we actually let it be on the quiet, but we knew that he was doing himself good, but at the same time he was actually training too much, and sometimes we had to tell him, you know, take it easy, you don't have to gym so much. But that was just his character. He was so driven to succeed and to be better.
Welcome back to our look at the rise of Jesse Kriel. After a stellar schoolboy career, the Blue Bulls immediately thrust the young fullback into action.
As I finished writing matric exams, the Bulls asked if I could come up and train with the Super Rugby team. Myself, my brother and Andre Pollard. So we fell in with so the day I finished my final exams, got in an aeroplane, my mom took me off to the airport and my brother, and we flew up to Pretoria. And that's where things started. We joined the Super Rugby training squad, which was an awesome experience. We got to train with guys that were your heroes, you know. I had posters out of the SA Rugby magazines on all my lockers at school. And I remember I used to have a wall where I used to put all their pictures on, and now I was training with the guys, so it was a crazy experience.
Settling into life as a young professional rugby player was made easier by Jesse having Dan alongside him.
It was a lot to take in, but I always say that I'm so lucky for the fact that I had my twin brother with me. You know, I think going up there or by yourself could be quite a daunting thing, but I had Dan there, so I always had someone to talk to and someone to train with me. I mean, I remember in the evenings we used to go to the gym a lot, and we used to go do extra kicking or passing, so there was always someone that would go with me. Whereas if you're on your own, I think it could be quite difficult. You know, the whole setup at the Bulls is amazing. There's a gym, there's ice baths, there's warm baths, there's change rooms, the facilities are just great. And I mean, when I got there, I knew this is where I need to be, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Jesse's first taste of age group rugby paid off immediately.
After the Super Rugby squad, we fell in with under-19s, and we had a guy named Paul Anthony. I think that's still the hardest we've ever worked, or I've ever worked in a pre-season. With Paul Anthony, some of the guys, they ran until they went blind. The guys just carried on running, didn't know when to turn. So we really trained hard then, and had a great season, won 14 in a row, won all the Currie Cup pool games, and then won the final in Cape Town. And then after that, luckily got called up to the under-20s after there was an injury to, I think, Sergio Peterson pulled his hamstring. And I got my break there, under-19, got called up for the World Cup in France.
Oh, he's through. Look at the bow. He's got options to his right. He may not need any sort of option. Look at that. Weaving his way.
Unfortunately, we lost in the, I think it was the semi against Wales. Just a bounce of the ball there. So it was disappointing, but a great experience. 2014, pretty much the same. Lost 21-22 in the final against England.
It wasn't long before the Springbok coaching staff took notice of Jesse's outstanding talent.
Under 19, we had a training session. I can't remember who we were playing that week, but Johan van Graan and Hanneke Meyer came to one of our sessions, and they were testing their new, Hanneke calls it a S-line, and they wanted to do it against New Zealand in the championship that was coming up. And I was just running the lines, and I think I had a few good lines, broke the line maybe about 4 or 5 times that session. So I just had a good practice, you know. I had a lot of energy, really enjoyed the practice, trained well. And Hanneke came up to me and he just said to me, I think you'll be a Springbok before you're 21. He said to me, and he said he wants me to come and join the Springbok camp in 2 weeks. So I was a 19-year-old, and he said that to me, and I didn't know what to do. I was shocked. So yeah, in 2 weeks' time, I went to the camp in Durban at Northwood. I'll never forget it. I think everyone just thought, who's this guy? Yeah, all the guys, Yanni and Bismarck and all those guys. I mean, it was the whole Springbok team, and here's this little guy from under 19 Bulls team that no one knows or anything. And yeah, I was training with the guys. So that was a great experience, and that was my first taste of being involved with the Springboks.
Having starred at fullback in Super Rugby, it came as a surprise to many to see the jersey Jesse wore in his international debut.
Hanneke said that he had some big plans. He wanted to maybe try me out at 13 because Jacques Free, he was in the camp. So Jacques Free, I don't think he was available to play with because of some other things. And Hanneke said against that first game against World 15 that he wanted to give me a go at 13. And I mean, I wasn't going to say no. So we went down to Cape Town, to Newlands, and we had a first game there. We had a great game, beat them convincingly. And the following week in Brisbane, I went on to make my debut. Luckily, I had a guy on my right, Brian Abana, who, I mean, I've sat next to him in being in most of my tests. And he's just the guy that brings a lot of calmness to the change room. And I mean, if you sit next to the guy who's got 100 tests, I think it takes a lot of nerves away, you know. I remember walking down the change room, a lot of nerves, walking out onto the field, full stadium, looking at, obviously singing the national anthem, probably one of the most proudest moments of my life. And yeah, my dream had come true.
Kriel capped the occasion with a moment of brilliance.
And a banner into the space, then Kriel accelerates away beautifully. Jesse Kriel! Brilliant from the Springboks.
It was just after half-time. Hanneke in the change room, he said he needed some special moments from us going into the second half. We played a wide play into the 15, played back, and the guys that we were cleaning that wide ruck, I think it was Willie, myself, and Brian. We reloaded there to play that blindside again, and the ball came back. Willie went on an overs line, gave to Brian. Guy shot on Brian. Brian offloaded, and I just stepped in, and there was nobody there. There was space. Carried on. Willie was on my inside. I remember I had one-on-one with Nick Phipps, and Willie was screaming my name to pass. And I remember as I went like this, Nick Phipps just followed, went on to Willie, and I just went straight through. And yeah, scored my first try. There was a lot of emotion. I mean, it was scoring on debuts. I think it's something really special, and I don't know if a lot of guys do it, but it was something that was really special. All the guys came and jumped on me and congratulated.
And a picture there of a passionate Springbok coach who spoke during the week about having seen him play at Blue Bulls under 19 level. 18 years of age, he worked with him. He said then that his position is going to be 13.
After the Australian test, it was a test that we should have won. And Hanneke still called me in that week before the All Black test, and he said, now you've got a real challenge. Let's see what you can do. Here's Conrad Smith and Moa Nonu. Here's 2 youngsters, in the Islander and myself. Let's see what you can do. Andre, Damien and myself, we probably 3 of the, we best mates, we're really good friends. And we just said to each other, we're going to go out there and we're going to enjoy it. We were playing up on the left-hand side, and I called a a dummy pop, and I just came on an angle, and Andre played me on a flat ball, and I just went straight through and scored my second try. So it was a great feeling. I remember all the guys jumping on me, just the stadium going crazy. So it was great, you know.
In the build-up to the Rugby World Cup, Kriel had the opportunity to learn from one of the finest Springbok captains.
John de Villiers, one of the best centres South Africa has ever seen. Probably the best captain I've ever played under. He's a great leader, a guy that leads from example, doesn't talk much, but led with his actions. He helped me out with a whole lot of defensive stuff. So he wasn't a guy, here's a guy that comes in his position. I'm not going to help him. He was the first guy to come to me and say, listen, yeah, this is where you can be better. This is what you can do. Maybe have a look at this. So he really helped me out. He made a big difference to my game coming in as a youngster and inexperienced test rugby player. So I think when he came back in, it was a no-brainer. You had to bring him back in. He worked really hard in his off time and in his recovery period for coming back for the World Cup, and I think he really did well, and I take my hat off to him for working so hard, especially through all the injuries that he's had. So I think it was exciting when he came back in. He brought a lot of energy to the team. Obviously he was hungry to go play, and obviously it was everyone's goal to go and win the World Cup. So I think we had a common goal, and we just fell short, unfortunately, at the end.
Disappointment at falling short in the semi-final, but plenty of positives to take going forward.
If you go look at that game and you have a look and you dissect it and you go have a proper look at it, you'll see there's a lot of opportunities. But I mean, those are the small margins in rugby that make the difference. And I think those small margins are years and years of hard work. And they say you create your own luck in rugby. And I think the All Blacks, I don't know if they deserve to win it, but they did win it. That's how it is. And yeah, it could have gone any way. 2 points in a game in a World Cup semi-final. They played really well in the second half, and I think put a lot of pressure on us.
In the aftermath of the defeat came a heartwarming moment as Kriel was consoled by opposing centre Sonny Bill Williams.
I think every South African and every guy on the team, we truly believed that we were going to win the World Cup. And after the final whistle, obviously we were on the losing side. I just almost collapsed and just sat down, and I just put my head between my knees, and it was over, you know. Our whole dream and everything that I believed we were going to win was not like I thought it was going to be. And I just felt someone tap on my shoulder and come down and said, oh, hey mate, are you all right? Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. He said that to me, so it was quite nice of him. He helped me up, and yeah, we just had a few words, and it was nice of him, you know, because I mean, I think after winning a semi-final, I think the natural thing would be to go celebrate with your teammates. And yeah, he was helping me up, you know. So yeah, hats off to him, and I think it just shows the character and the kind of player that he is.
Character and compassion from the Kiwi, traits which were the foundation of Kriel's rise to the top.
His dedication was incredible. On the hottest day in summer, off-season, Jesse would be out here on the fields, kicking, working on his skills, doing his speed work, his work ethic. You don't get a guy that works harder than Jesse.
I think his real determination to succeed is one of his big values. You know, he would go to the end of the earth to make it there. When I first met him, the first thing he started asking me, what was it like to be a professional rugby player? He had already decided then and there that he was going to be a professional rugby player, and that it was going to, whatever it took to get there, he would do it, and he did. You know, he went to those extra lengths, the extra training, the hours in the gym, the hours on the field. He did all those things to get there, and that for me stood out from the first day I met him, that he was going to succeed. I actually remember being there for 2 weeks and phoning up the Sharks and saying, this boy is going to be we need to get hold of him. Unfortunately, he went to the Bulls, but that's one of those things. You know, he still succeeded. But also, I think, and the Kiwis always put into context, they pick people on their characteristics, whether they're nice people or not. And Jess is one of those nice people. You know, if you get to know him and you get to know his character, he is the kind of person you want in the team.
Hard work and sacrifice that ultimately resulted in Jesse pulling on the green and gold, a privilege he is acutely aware of.
It's hard for me to put into words. It's what I wake up in the morning. If I have to wake up early in the morning, that's my motivation to get up. the Springbok is just such a bold thing that and I mean, a lot of people talk about it, and I mean, when the Boks lose, a lot of people are quick to say Springboks this, Springboks that, but the real meaning of a Springbok is just something that you can't describe. And I mean, if you see guys that go out and put their bodies on the line on weekends and the sacrifices that they make for the Springboks, I mean, sometimes guys sacrifice time with their families, they're away from home, and it's early mornings, it's training in Decembers, it's a lot of sacrifice that goes in. But I mean, when you become a Springbok, it's not sacrifice anymore. It becomes something that you want to do. And I think that's the difference between being a Springbok and a professional rugby player. I think when you become a Springbok, it's not really a sacrifice anymore. It's something that you want to do.
Having benefited from attending one of the country's premier rugby schools, Jesse has still managed to distinguish himself from those around him. Despite his Springbok career being in its infancy, Kriel's willpower and resolve are the tools which give him the ability to compete for national honours for many years to come.